I'm really excited to be here. I'm Martha Maksym. I'm the Executive Director of United Way of Northwest Vermont. Thank you. Formerly the United Way of Chittenden County and Franklin Grand Isle United Way. We merged on April 1st, and so we're now United Way of Northwest Vermont. It's really, really nice to see so many returning faces from our first conference last year talking about collective impact, and many new faces as well. I'm very excited to continue this learning journey with you all. We've got a very busy schedule planned for you over the next couple of days, and I want to get us started. So just stuff, as I'm sure anyone who's put on a conference knows, it takes work and support from a lot of different folks, but there are 4 organizations in particular that really came together to help make this conference happen. The University of Vermont Medical Center, and just listen to who I'm naming because they're not necessarily who you'd think would be helping us put this conference on, but University of Vermont Medical Center, the Vermont Community Foundation, the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission, and United Way of Northwest Vermont. We each have different missions, but we have many, many shared goals, one of which was to provide this opportunity for us and for you to all learn together. If you know the United Way in any capacity, you've probably heard or read the phrase or seen my button that says "Live United," which really is more than a tagline for us. It's how we are doing our work today in 2016 and beyond. Our purpose is to unite people, businesses, and organizations of all types to work together to advance the common good. This conference is an extension of United Way's work to build cross-sector partnerships to improve the well-being of our communities. So collective impact is an approach that we are using at United Way more and more in our role as a convener of community conversations, especially when working with others to organize a community response to some really complex challenges that we have. By definition, we are uniting our individual efforts under a shared vision, shared metrics, and reinforcing activities toward that collective goal we're all working so hard to achieve. So and I have many colleagues in the room here today from United Way of Northwest Vermont. We are very proud to be one of your hosts today. And along with my colleagues here, I'm really looking forward to learning with you as we increase our collective capacity for sharing, efficiency, understanding, and unified action. So now I'd like to invite Penrose Jackson, Jen Peterson, and Peter Keating up to the podium with me. Penrose is with UVM Medical Center. Jen is with Vermont Community Foundation, and Peter is with the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. And we wanted to just give each an opportunity to share with you why they're here with us today, engaged in this kind of learning. So, Penrose.
So looking out here today, I'm wondering who's minding the store. What a wonderful collection of people, and we're delighted to be here and delighted to help sponsor this conference. I think it comes as no surprise to anybody in this room that there's a new urgency in healthcare, and where are we going, and how do we collectively reduce the escalating cost of healthcare in this country? And healthcare can't do it. We've been trying to do it for a century or so, and the Affordable Care Act and other exigencies have really brought us to the point where we as healthcare understand that we cannot do it alone, and we need to do it in collaboration with our communities. The University of Vermont Medical Center has, by accident and history, a pretty healthy fund of money that we have annually to invest in community initiatives. And we actually have peeled off a part of that money to invest in collective impact, and we've done that for the last couple of years. I think they're going to hear more at this conference about our efforts in supporting supportive housing, and also the Opioid Alliance, the Chittenden County Opioid Alliance. They're both collective impact efforts that we are supporting as the medical center and contributing to as well in terms of our time and our talents. So we're delighted to be here. We're delighted to see all of you here, and I hope everything runs okay as we're all here today.
Thanks, Ben.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jen Peterson. I'm the Vice President for Program and Grants at the Community Foundation. And I guess when somebody says do you want to help put together a day where the smartest and most compassionate people want to come together and figure out how to help Vermont be a better place? Why would you ever say no? So that's the main reason I'm here, and the Community Foundation is behind this. But I think in our work, there's two things that sort of drive being part of this, and it's from our position, we see a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of folks that are, while they may have different missions and different sort of on-the-ground goals, they're serving the same populations, and they're really all part of some bigger meta issues around poverty and opportunity gaps and climate change. And so let's create space for talking about those together and where you can leverage some of the resources that we all really work hard to put together to solve these problems. And in seeing that, we've also started to support work that's doing that. So there's really powerful stuff happening around the state. Farm to Plate Network, Food and Farm Initiative, Voices for the Lake, a lot of stuff. And a lot of the folks that are sharing today in some of the concurrent sessions are folks that we've been supporting. And when people can align their strategies and have shared goals and have the time to build trust with each other, which is what you need to do. You need to create spaces like this to do that. It's really powerful. Like, work happens more efficiently, and there's sort of ripple effects that happen. So, and I think that's where lasting change comes from. That's where we really are going to get to the root causes and the systems to make it happen. So I hope you all have a really great day, and thanks for making the time. It's a big chunk of time, but it will be well worth our while, I think. So thank you.
Thanks, Martha. Yeah, my name is Peter Keating. I'm with the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. Charlie Baker, the executive director, would have liked to have been here, but he had a conflict. I think he attended the last time we did this. We are a proud sponsor of this event and a lot of the programs that United Way puts on. I just want to give a very short story of our experience with collective impact. 5+ years ago, we got a pretty sizable grant from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development to do a regional sustainability plan that really required pretty intense public outreach with multi-parties in a very, very collaborative effort to come up with a lot of goals and measurements to see if we're going to make some sustainability goals looking out 20 years in the future. It was called the ECOS Project, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of people here that were involved in that. Or if you weren't personally, your organizations were. But I think it was a great example of that, because while we normally do employ public outreach in virtually all the activities we do, we had to really ratchet it up a notch and really expand that public outreach and much more intimately involve a lot of organizations in our planning. I think we successfully did that. It took 3 years, and we had a huge committee of, I'm sorry to say this, but 65 people on a steering committee, which is, I think anyone else looking at that would say that is so unwieldy, you'll never get anything out of it. I think we did, because people were dedicated. They were prepared when they came to meetings. So it came out to be, I think, pretty successful. Anyway, we ended that in 2013. We adopted that plan. But I think it's a great example of how you can really encourage and get a lot of people and organizations involved and get something successfully accomplished. And hopefully at the end of this particular conference, you're going to get the same message from hearing the speakers of the sessions and come away with a conclusion that collective impact is going to be a tool that you can use in your planning activities. So again, happy to support this, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And it really, I mean it when I say these are partners of ours that we could not be doing the work we're doing without. You all know these issues can be very complex, and the resources that United Way has at its disposal really aren't enough to solve some of these issues all by ourselves. So we need to reach across sectors and really look for other partners who maybe haven't been our partners before, but it is incredibly rewarding to be building these partnerships. So now I actually want to give you all a second to just reflect in a small group with a couple other people about why it is that you are here right now over these next 2 days learning together with the rest of us about collective impact. So what I'd like y'all to do is, and this is just going to get our juices flowing after bacon. What I'd like y'all to do is form a group of 3 people. If you'd like to get up and move around, you can, or else you can just turn to your tables. But here's the trick: you have to be talking to 2 other people that you've never met before. Okay, strangers. You need to go and meet 2 strangers. So I'm going to give everybody a second just to move yourselves in a way that you are in a group of 3 talking to strangers, and then I'll give you more instruction. All right, I'm going to give you instructions, so just get into your groups. We'll just start by getting into groups of 3. For folks just coming in, if you want to, there's table up here if you want to come in. Mariah, there, like right up front here, there's some tables. Okay. Attention, attention. Is everybody in a group of 3? Rowdy bunch. Okay. So for your next set of instructions, everybody, so you're in your group of 3 with 2 other strangers. Can I have everyone's attention just for 1 second? Thanks. So you're in your group of 3. So now I'm assigning roles to your groups of 3. One of you gets to listen. Just listen. Hold space and listen. One of you is going to be the interviewer, and you're going to ask some questions. And the third person gets to be the talker and answer the questions. So you can figure out who's who. And then what I'm going to do is give 5 minutes for that and then have you switch. So everybody's going to get to be the listener, the interviewer, and the talker. We're going to do this for about 5 minutes each round. And what I want you to do is answer the question, why is it that you feel it's important for you to be here spending these next 2 days together? So interviewer, that question or some other probing questions, you could just say, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And really probe to have the talker, and the listener just listen. So choose who's going to be which role and get started. And in about 4 minutes, I'll give you the 1 minute warning, and then we'll switch roles. Okay, so interviewer, listener, talker. Thanks, everyone. So I have to say, the energy in the room just after that, I hope you've made some nice new friends that you didn't know before. I want to just take a second now and have you just take 1 minute in silence and just reflect on your conversations. When it was your turn to talk, how did it feel to have 5 minutes to just speak without interruption? Although I was looking like there was a lot of back and forth going on, I'm not sure. And when it was your turn to listen, how did it feel to give undivided attention to another person? How much did you learn about that person? So just take a second and reflect, and then if anyone wants to just share a reflection, my colleague Becca has a mic and we can just pass it around. But any reflections, ahas, or inspiration to share with the rest of us?
John Sales from the Vermont Food Bank. I was just struck by how we're all coming from different places to be in this room today,
Yeah.
and how we should explore that when we're talking to each other.
Right. Right. Thanks. Lindsay?
Hey there, it's Lindsay Lathrop with Change the Story Vermont. I think it's always really funny when you are told to listen, because you're like, oh yeah, I should be listening.
Yeah.
And it's always something you need to hear. It's kind of like in yoga where they tell you to breathe, and you're like, oh yeah, I haven't been breathing.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
Exhale. Right. Listen, that's great. Someone else want to share anything? Reflections?
Hi, I'm Paula Cope with Cope and Associates. I was with a great group over there, very diverse collection of people. And one of the things that struck me when we were talking is the need to be open to new experience, open to new information, and then ultimately the willingness to sacrifice either on a personal level or mission or change or something for the greater good. That to really achieve community solutions, we have to stop thinking as competitors and competitors for funding, and we have to start thinking about the greater good and the collective true solution that we could find if we work together.
Nice. Thank you, Paula. Anyone else? Hal?
Hal Colston, Partnership for Change. I have found that this exercise leads to building trust. So when we can listen with our total being, we connect and build trust.
Thank you. Anyone else from that side of the room while Becca's over there? Moving back. Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred Schmidt. I thought the exercise was great. One little fly in the ointment. For those of us over 65, I had a hard time hearing.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Right. It's annoying. Thank you, Fred. So thank you for that, and I hope that again that I guess I challenge us all to, over the course of the next 2 days, continue to do that with people that you're having a meal with, that you're sitting next to in a workshop. Really, I think you're absolutely right. We gain trust. We learn how to sort of give up a little bit and understand different perspectives, and it's really, really valuable in the work we have to do together. So this exercise was designed to highlight that each of us really has something unique to contribute to our experience here. And it also underscores how important it really is to give others the space and the respect to sort of share their own unique perspective and be heard. So I hope you were able to discover something unique. Seems like you did, from your new best friends and partners, and that will inform and enrich our time together. So now we're just going to get you into a few logistics on how the next 2 days are going to run. And I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Amy Carmola, who really, when you talk about, how these things happen, they happen because people like me are lucky enough to have people like Amy working for us. So Amy's going to go through your packets and tell you a little bit about how the next couple of days are going to run. Amy.
Good morning. I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, it takes a village to plan a conference or something like that. Well, I know that that's true. And before we can start this conference, I want to thank an amazing group of colleagues at United Way of Northwest Vermont who have spent over a year helping plan and deliver this event. And they are probably not even in this room to hear me thank them, because they are bustling around making sure that everything goes the way it should today. But I want to thank them right here and now. They are Megan Bridges, Becca Burns, Diana Carminetti, Amanda Elkin, and Rachel Sanborn. Together they make a powerful team, and it has been a joy to work with them on this. And of course, thank you. Of course, none of this would be possible without the amazing 4 host organizations and a generous grant from the Stiller Family Foundation. Thanks to media sponsorship from People's United Bank, our main program in this room and a selection of our breakout sessions will be recorded by CCTV and made public on the conference website after the event. And we've been able to provide sponsored tickets to the conference with support from Vermont State Data Center and UVM Center for Rural Studies. We have more than 60 people presenting 25 breakout sessions over 2 days, bringing a broad range of learning opportunities from a spectrum of topics. A complete list of session options and descriptions is in your conference packet. Each meeting room for the breakout sessions is hosted by a conference staff person wearing a badge like this. And one of the things that they will do is help make sure that rooms don't get overcrowded, because we want the rooms to remain accessible. So pick where you'd like to go and get there as quickly as you can. And if you show up at a room and it's full, there are other options. We have a lot of great options. So just move on to another choice, and I'm sure you'll be thrilled with where you end up. You've all invested in this experience, and many of you have traveled a ways early in the morning to get here. And I invite you to be here and be present. Please turn off the ringers and the vibration on your phones so that you aren't distracted and so that you don't distract others from their time here. And better yet, if you can, turn your phone off or put it in airplane mode. I know that's hard to do. But here we are, together. This conference has an overarching theme, which is inclusion. And in Collective Impact, inclusion means not only diversity of perspectives, but diversity of partners and sectors and strategies. Inclusion is about inviting and allowing and recognizing everybody who is involved in an issue or a process or is invested in an outcome. And of course, that's not as simple as it sounds. So during our time together, we will focus on how to work with different perspectives and different partners and why inclusion is so important. And inclusion is such a big, complex topic. Let's learn from each other while we're here and afterwards. I encourage each of you to share at any time your best ideas or your thoughts or your questions or suggestions about inclusion. We've set up a wall right as you're leaving this room. We've labeled it Ideas for Inclusion. And there are sticky pads and pens on your paper. Please take a minute at any time to write down your ideas or questions so that we can share them with the people who are here today and share them on the website, because there's some great ideas and strategies in this room that we would love to pull together. So please take a minute to do that at any time. So inclusion isn't just part of our program, it's been a big part of our planning for this event and how we experience it together. There are a few things that you may notice and a few things that I'm asking you to observe. As Martha mentioned, it's exciting to see the range of people here today, and I know that you are going to see people that you really want to talk to, or you're going to meet new people that you really want to talk to. And we've set aside times in our program when you can do that. And there are a lot of spaces open in the Snowflake where you can do that as well. Please don't do your chatting and getting to know people in this room. And so I mean specifically, don't stand in the back to have those conversations while there's a session in progress. There are lots of places you can go, and really comfortable chairs and other rooms where you can do that as well. And I know that that's part of what it's like to be here, is that there are people you really